I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted to get somewhere so badly that you inadvertently hitchhiked and ended up in a situation so unbelievable that when you tell the story, most people believe you made it up? Well, I have. I'm Ben Lewis, and this is the true story of a ride I took with a couple. A ride from Vinita, Oklahoma to Ozark, Missouri. A ride that I'll never forget. This is the story of Kelly and Kat, a 4-part series delving into the craziest ride of my life. Okay, so let's begin at the beginning. I need to set the stage before we get started. You need to understand why and how I ended up in this guy's truck. What could make me hop in and go with two people I had never met and still question if our encounter was real or was I dreaming? Okay, so I was working for Staples as a remote employee. My physical office was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but my territory was Southwest Missouri, so I wasn't really required to go there very often. We had a quarterly meeting that I needed to attend, so I went, like I had before, no big deal. At this time in our life, my wife and I had never spent more than 2 nights apart from each other over the span of 10 years. And if it was up to me, that was going to remain the constant. That was going to continue for the foreseeable future. You see, I love my wife. I love my kids. We had 3 at the time, ages 14, 4, and 3 years old. And we were always together. As a matter of fact, that was what drew me to the job. It was a remote job, so I could work from home. I could be with them. I could coach ball teams. I didn't have to go into an office every day of the week. I only needed to go to the appointments I needed to. That was the real appeal for the job. So our meeting in Tulsa ends. I say my goodbyes. My boss, who also lives in Southwest Missouri, tells me to check in when I make it, and so I head out. Now, to paint the picture, my car at the time was a 2004 silver Chrysler PT Cruiser. Don't be so jealous. You may laugh, but I love this car. Man, it had all the options I wanted. It had the room. It was a smooth little ride. Little PT Cruiser. I miss that car. Okay, so I make it about an hour out of Tulsa with 2 hours to go in my trip home, which is no big deal because I've made this drive numerous times. But then all of a sudden I noticed smoke coming from the hood of my car. I looked at the temperature gauge, and you guessed it. The car is overheating. I'm like, I've never seen this car overheat. I've never had an issue with this car overheating. I've never had an issue with this car, period. But at this time, and this point of the day, it's starting to turn into evening, and I'm looking at the smoke coming out of the hood, and I realize that I'm going to be forced to pull over to the side of the road on the Will Rogers Turnpike. Now, the first thing I want to do is call my wife. I want to let her know I'm having car trouble. I want to let her know that I'm probably not going to make it at the time that I thought I was going to make it. I'm going to answer her questions. Does she have any questions about what's going on? I don't have an answer, so let me try to figure out what's going on. I'm going to call roadside assistance to get some help. When I call them, they tell me they'll send a tow truck my way, and they will tow me to the closest town, which is Vinita, Oklahoma. They'll take my car to a garage, and I can spend the night in Vinita, Oklahoma, and go home tomorrow. I call my boss. He offers to come get me, expense a hotel stay in Tulsa. This is all nice. These are all good solutions. The only problem with all this is I'm trying to get home to my family. So neither of these options are going to work. I've got to try to figure out how am I going to get from broken down on the side of the road near Vinita, Oklahoma, back to Ozark, Missouri. Okay, so it's official. I am stranded on the Will Rogers Turnpike. It's going to be 2 hours before a tow truck, and my options are sleep in Vinita, Oklahoma, or sleep in Tulsa, Oklahoma, neither of which are my home in Chadwick, Missouri with my family. So what am I going to do? What are my options? How am I going to get from here to there? And then all of a sudden, as I'm sitting in the driver's seat of my PT Cruiser, I see this nice Ford F-150 pickup pull over on the side of the road to check on me. And I'm thinking, man, first off, that's pretty nice. Somebody's going to pull over and check on you. I appreciated it. The second thought I had was, hey, this is a nice truck. It's a nice Ford truck. Looks legit. I mean, it's a nice truck. Probably means there's a nice person inside, because that's how it works, right? Nice vehicles contain nice people. Okay. Out hops Kelly. I don't know he's Kelly yet, but he's Kelly. Now, me personally, I'm not a tall person. I have never been accused of dunking a basketball or bumping my head on a doorway. But Kelly is shorter than me, and he's skinny. He's kind of a lanky skinny. He walks with a bounce in his step. He's swinging his arms when he walks, and he's like walking with this swag from his driver's side of his truck back to me in the PT Cruiser. So as he gets out, I'm thinking, this guy's not exactly what I expected, but it's still nice that he stopped to check on me. So I hop out of my car to greet him. Now, I think this is a good time to explain how Kelly talks. Kelly is the kind of guy that every other word is a curse word. And when I mean he curses a lot. And it's almost like not in even areas where there needs to be a cuss word, but he's putting a cuss word in there. So for this story, because we don't cuss on this podcast, I'm going to give you an example. So the F word, I'll probably replace with words like freaking or something like that. S word, stuff. A word, butt or booty, something like that. Basically, if you would use a curse word instead of the word that you hear on the podcast, and he did, he was a pro. He was putting cuss words where I never even imagined putting curse words. Okay, so we've established that Kelly's a foul mouth. So anyway, Kelly walks up. He kicks the front fender of my car and he says, "What's wrong with this piece of garbage?" Except he didn't say garbage. It was much, much worse. So this is how he introduces himself to me. He walks up, kicks the fender of my car, and says, "What's wrong with this piece of garbage?" I tell him, well, it's overheating, and I've never had that problem before. I like this car. I think it's awesome. You're not a fan of PT Cruisers, I assume. He tells me he doesn't like my car at all. PT Cruisers are garbage. All Chryslers are garbage. This is what he's telling me. These are the opinions of Kelly. Okay, so he asked me, is someone coming to get me? And for a split second, I think about lying because, at first I thought it was going to be one thing, it's something else. He's looking kind of sketchy. But for some reason, I tell him the truth. I tell him the tow truck said they'll be here in a couple hours. He says, a couple of hours? If you hang out on the turnpike for a couple hours, you're definitely getting raped. And that's a fact. You're lucky I stopped. I ain't no raper. Okay. Now let's pause and just process that line for a minute. I feel like that's something you should never have to say. Also, I hadn't ever heard in my life about the whole turnpike raping thing either, but, we can move on from that. I'm thinking, he just said the words to me, "Get in the car with me, I ain't no raper." Okay, so if you're listening to this for the first time, you're thinking that should be your first clue to try to get out of this situation. Okay, well, anyway, moving forward, Kelly insists that I get in his truck and he will take me home. I'm thinking, I'll entertain it and I'll be nice because we're in the middle of Oklahoma and I'm going to, I need to get to Chadwick, Missouri by way of Ozark / Branson, Missouri. So I'd say a town that's a little further because I'm thinking he's going to hear Branson, Missouri and think, I'm not driving to Branson, Missouri. Okay. So he insists that I get in a truck to take me home. I say, well, you're probably not going to take me home because I'm going to Branson, Missouri. Okay. So I think, hey, I've said it. I'm out of it. He's not going to Branson, Missouri. There's no way. And then Kelly says, that's crazy. We're going to Branson, Missouri too. Okay. So now I'm starting to think about this whole non-raper proclamation and all those Law & Order episodes I've been watching, and I'm getting a little concerned. I got a guy pull over, tells me, get in his car, he's a non-raper, and he just happens to be going the same place I'm going 2 hours away, and I'm feeling pretty leery about the conversation and the direction we're going. All of which I put out of my head while I think, well, he is going my way, and I really want to get home to my family. So at this point, I'm beginning to consider getting in the truck with Kelly. While I'm thinking, and I start to call my wife, I hear one of my car doors open, and I realize that Kelly has begun to unload items out of my car and put them into his. Some items are old printers that don't work anymore that I was taking from one office to the other. And he's unloading the printers, and he asked me, hey, what's up with these printers? And I said, they're old printers, they don't work, so I'm just kind of taking them from one place to the other. He said, well, can I have them? And I said, well, they're old and they don't work. He said, yeah, but do you want them? And I said, well, I don't really want them. And to be honest, I was trying to think of a way to dispose of them responsibly. And he says, if you don't want these printers, I'll take them. And I said, okay, well, the printers are yours, my friend. So Kelly starts unloading the printers out of the backseat of my car into the backseat of his truck. I tell him they don't work. He doesn't care. I said, okay. Okay, so I'm on my phone with my wife, and she's asking all the questions she should be asking. Does he look safe? Do you think this is a good idea? Are you sure? All the questions she's asking me, the answer is undeniably no. No, he does not look safe. No, I do not think this is a good idea. Am I sure? Absolutely not. But can you meet me in Ozark? Because I'm hopping in the truck with Kelly and we're heading that way. For some reason, I decided to accept the kindness of strangers. But hey, it gave me this good story. Okay, so at this point, I've decided. I'm getting in the truck with Kelly, and he's going to drive me to where I need to be. And as I'm locking up my vehicle and placing my keys in the gas tank like the tow company told me to, I'm still having trouble with that little voice in the back of my head saying, are you sure this is a good idea? Are you sure this is a good idea, Ben? My answer still no. No, I'm not sure at all. I walk up to his vehicle on the passenger side. I plan on getting in the passenger seat of the truck, riding shotgun as Kelly and I make our way across Oklahoma and into Missouri. But at that time, he yells across the truck bed as we're walking for me to get in the back passenger seat because his wife is in the front seat. Okay, a little about me. I get car sick. I get car sick if I don't drive. I get car sick if I ride passenger. And back seat, yeah, right. But here I go. I'm hopping in this mystery truck with Kelly, his wife that I did not know existed until this moment, and a whole bunch of my old broken printers. And all I can think about is, should I be doing this? Should I be riding with these two? But at this point, I'm buckling up, and it's too late to back out now. As I get in, Kelly introduces me to his wife, Kat. So now you have the third character of our story, Kat. Kelly said, Kat, baby, wave at Ben. We're giving him a ride to Branson. She looked at me in the rearview mirror and said, nice to meet you. I replied with the same. Immediately, Kelly says, she can't see on account she's completely blind. She can't see nothing. He then starts pointing his finger in her face, like real close to her eyes, real close to her nose. And he's going, she's blind, see? He's laughing, she's laughing, I'm laughing. On the outside, inside, I'm crying. This is scaring me, okay? So, like, he's trying to prove that she's blind by waving his hand in front of her face. And she's like, Kelly, you're so silly. Okay, so I send my wife a text. I love you. Tell the kids I love them. And if I don't make it home, these people killed me. LOL. But I wasn't laughing at all. I was scared. Kat begins to talk. She's not cursing. She is actually really friendly. She immediately begins telling me about her education. Kelly says, she's a freaking doctor, man. Can you believe that? Me with a doctor? He says me with a doctor like we grew up together, like we've known each other for years. Like, I can't believe that little Kelly from wherever, Oklahoma, made it with a doctor. That's how he says it to me. I'm like, bro, okay, you're with a doctor. That's great. I begin to make conversation, hoping it'll help pass the time, help keep me from getting car sick, hopefully. I definitely didn't want to ask to stop the vehicle in case I did get car sick, so I'm like, I got to shake this off. So I say, oh, you're a doctor. That's cool. In what field? Cat replies, I have 7 doctorates in various different fields, none of which she named. I tried to ask more questions. I still can't get a grasp of what she's a doctor of, but she is a doctor in 7 different areas. Kelly says, man, she's a freaking 7 times doctor, man. Can you believe that stuff? I say, no, I can't believe that. At this point, I'm buckled in. I've got my cell phone with 1 bar of battery left. Kelly signals to enter the right lane from the shoulder. He's rolling slow like anyone would. Then he gasses it. And I mean, he goes pedal to the metal. I liken it to the first 3 seconds of the Powder Keg roller coaster at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. If there was a camera for reactions, mine would have been classic. The main difference, Powder Keg is over in a matter of minutes, and this ride was just beginning. Next time on Along for the Ride. Okay, so I'm realizing that this dude is absolutely unhinged. Second, I discover why he's going to Branson, which could be an entire podcast on its own if only I had more information. And on top of everything, there's a tornado warning. So yeah, I'm starting to freak out a little bit. Thank you for listening to episode 1 of Along for the Ride. This has been a 428 podcast. Please follow this show on Spotify to be notified of new episodes. Share with your friends. Please rate 1 to 5 stars. I've told this story several times, but I always have time constraints. This is a new view on one of the craziest things that ever happened to me in my life. I hope you enjoy. I'm Ben Lewis. Until next time.